Yeah, hey, okay. So hi, it's Sunday. Sunday. I don't even know the date. You might notice I'm a little congested. It's because I am in quarantine. I've been in quarantine for the past number of days because I tested positive for the COVID-19. The pandemic, the big scary thing that we've all been avoiding. Yes, I, Neil Patterson, came down with this shit. And it's getting to the point where I am getting a little stir crazy. I'm getting my energy level back, and I'm on copious amounts of caffeine as well. But I'm drinking coffee alone, and I'm recording SUPcast number. I don't even know what number. The last one I did was with James Marandino, who is the director of the film SLC Punk. And after that, I got real busy. I had a tour coming up, and I was training. I know it sounds weird, but I was training for this tour because I wanted to fit into my punk rock jeans. Yeah. And I did that. I lost 25 pounds and I kept it off. Like here I am at I'm at 200 pounds, like 199 on the 199, like 200 thing. I go back and forth at night. I'll be like 203, 204 and I'll wake up 199. But I'm here. I'm at my goal weight, and in fact, like once I get rid of this nasty virus, I'm gonna get back and get to I'm gonna try to even get to a lower weight. Yeah, and I'm eating food, but what I'm doing is this thing. It's called a calorie deficit. I'm expending more energy than I'm consuming. I'm consuming a certain amount of calories, and I am definitely burning more than that. Because throughout this period where I remember I looked at a video of myself. In fact, we can pull up this video. I'm going to do a little multimedia thing right now. I got my TikTok pulled up. We're going to look at some stuff on the internet. So, if you're listening to this, you're going to hear the videos. You're not going to actually see the videos. But I want to watch the impetus of me deciding that I need to lose weight. Because I like when I got back to Michigan, I gained 25 pounds in like 3 weeks. And I gained it very quickly. A lot of it had to do with Jet's Pizza. I also was supplementing on creatine, which makes you retain a lot of water weight. I've been watching a lot of video content. And I've been telling myself, oh yeah, I want to be a buff guy. I want to be like a buff guy. And and all these like skinny dudes that have muscles are like, take creatine. And this is the thing is, I don't think it necessarily works the same for big dudes. If you're a big dude and you take creatine, it's just going to make you look bigger. Like if you're already thick and you take creatine, it's going to make you look thicker. And I don't want to look thicker. I want to look skinnier. I've been fat my whole life. And I mean, we could start down this rabbit hole, but I've gotten made fun of my whole life for being a thick man, a thick boy. I was a thick boy. They used to call me breast boy. In middle school. That was my nickname. In 7th grade, they called me breast boy because I had breasts. Still kind of do. But leave me alone. I'm sensitive. So let's look at this video on TikTok. And this is part 1 of the video that made me be like, oh my God, like I gained a lot of weight. So here we go. So here we are. I don't know why I restarted. Okay, so here we are. It's pretty much Phil's party on the 4th of July. And yeah, it's only giving me 19 seconds.
Wow.
Okay, so that's not even the video. Let's move on. The video is this one. It's no secret that since I came back to Michigan, I've gained like 10 pounds, maybe 15, who knows? Actually 25. I'm cultivating mass. I blame it on the plethora of food options that are available in this fine Midwest city. And my lack of self-control. Hi, Allie. So we went to Buscemi's, and they had this. It's a Italian sub pizza.
It's literally oilier than my face right now.
Oh, my Lanta. Oh. You can tell Allie's like literally disgusted by me. And this is the thing I've always done. I've always, like, when I gain weight, I'm like, oh, I'll use comedy as repellent for how disgusted I am with myself.
How is it?
Like, yo, I put on rubber gloves to eat this fucking greasy sandwich. I mean, it tasted good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a fat kid at heart. I love food that tastes good.
It's no secret that since I came back.
But yeah, I moved back in February of 2021, and by July of 2021, I mean, this video is marked 7/10. I was back at the weight I was when I first went on my weight loss journey in 2017. I was back at like 228 pounds. Yeah. And now, like 227, 228 pounds. And now I'm right around 200, and I'm like feeling good about it because I worked really fucking hard to get here. I essentially, like, I had to really monitor my eating, and I walked like fucking between 6 and 8 miles a day. I was lifting weights 4 days a week. I was doing yoga, yada, yada. So flash forward to the whole reason I wanted to fucking get in shape was because I was about to go on tour with Reagan Youth. And Reagan Youth is the seminal punk band from the 1980s, which they had asked me in 2019 to join as a singer. And it sociologically speaking, it's been quite a wild ride. And I was explaining to my buddy Wax about this because he had all these questions. He's like, why are you doing this? You know, like, why are you joining a 1980s punk band when you got your own thing going on? And the whole fact of the matter is, it's the same answer I have to the question, like, why would you ever do something with the Insane Clown Posse? Like, people just can't wrap their heads around the fact that I would say yes, that's sort of an opportunity. And the fact of the matter is when you're sitting on the toilet in 2019 and you're living in someone's living room and there's like literally fucking, you're living in a house with 9 people and you're kind of unhappy and, you know, things didn't really work out the way you wanted them to, and someone offers you something that's kind of outlandish. Hey, would you like to sing for Reagan Youth? And for those of you who don't know, Reagan Youth is the punk band that wrote that song Degenerated, which was featured in the movie Airhead starring Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi and Adam Sandler that came out in the 90s. The Johnny Can't Read, Johnny Can't Write. That's, yeah, Paul and Dave, who are in Reagan Youth. Dave, rest in peace, died in the early 90s. They wrote Degenerated, okay? So I'm going to be on stage singing Degenerated every night? Sure, why not, you know? I mean, I've toured as the backing band for HR. We did a song with the Insane Clown Posse. I backed up Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. We backed up Chuck Mosley from Faith No More. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why not? I'll sing for Reagan Youth. Which brings us to now. I just completed this short tour, 10-day tour with Reagan Youth. And if it wasn't wrought with stress and controversy, this Reagan Youth is like a lightning rod for controversy, and it's pretty hilarious because for all intents and purposes, these are gentle people, and I've spent a lot of time talking with these people, like, and also, like, some of them are not what you would call mentally stable, and you know, Paul, for example, lives in government subsidized housing for mentally unstable addicts. Like, so some of his behavior can be erratic and perceived to be violent. But ultimately when it comes down to it, it's obsessive, compulsive, erratic behavior. That doesn't necessarily lead to any violence, but it's funny because like there's a dark cloud following Paul Bakia and Reagan Youth. It's this dark cloud of you know, this perceived notion that he's some sort of a homicidal maniac, which is like really false. It's incredibly false. And you know, and then the same dark cloud follows around Tibby. Like, Tibby is like what, some sort of like Satan worshiping, like all of these rumors and all of this internet stuff just like follows around Reagan Youth. Like, they're this, they're that. And it's really wild being in the van with these people because you come to realize that, you know, these are sensitive individuals that don't want to hurt anyone, and everywhere they go, they end up just rubbing people the wrong way. Like, for example, we played the show in New Jersey. Let me show the clip. We played the show in New Jersey. So anyway, this is SUPcast. I'm just riffing. I'm just going to riff for an hour and then it's going to be over. So we played this show in New Jersey. It's a DIY floor show. Let me explain what happened. So here's some volume.
Team 43!
are we, dude? Where are we?
So there you go. Yeah, I mean that's a little taste. If you're watching the video portion of the SUPcast, it's a little taste. You can see that we played a show in New Jersey, and like where do I even begin? We're playing our set. It's a total fucking mess because Paul told me to call off the songs, and you know it's Paul's band, so I'm not the leader. I'm not the Downtown Brown guy. I'm the Neil P guy. I'm the hired gun. You know, I'm the singer. But it's not my band, so it's Paul's calling the shots. So like we're on stage and we're kind of like I'm kind of like trying to call off the songs, and Paul's just like no, and then also we're playing on the floor, and where we're set up is blocking the bathroom, so people keep like walking through our set as we're playing and unplugging Paul's guitar. So the whole thing is really heated and stressed, and we're not playing that well, and it's insanity. And then it gets to the point where we're nearing the end of our set, and Paul introduces a song called Miss Teen America. And Miss Teen America, for anyone that knows Reagan Youth, is essentially it's a song calling out the status quo and what's expected of young teenage females to be these like pinup dolls. And it's every single Reagan Youth song is sung kind of tongue in cheek. And yeah, so Paul introduces the song, and he said the song is about teenage girls, because it is, and it was written by teenagers, in fact. It was written in the 1980s. And that's all Paul had to say. For people in the audience, there was like a handful of people in the audience that were just, they're like, okay, well, they obviously were akin to some of like the rumor factory about Reagan Youth and the controversy that surrounds the band. So they're looking for something. They're looking for something to like call out Paul for, because yeah, Paul is this homicidal maniac, I guess he's perceived to be. So these kids actually confront Paul when we're done playing and say, "You can't sing that song, Miss Teen America." And Paul's like, "Why the fuck not? You can't sing a song about teenage girls." And Paul's like, "Why the fuck not?" And Paul defended himself. And like he defended himself. He even like Paul at one point like dropped his pants and said, "Fuck you." Like, I mean, like Paul went full, like, I don't know, but he kind of lost it on these kids, and the kids just walked away. They didn't do anything. But then they took online and they started saying, "Oh yeah, like this guy's obsessed with teenage girls. Has a weird obsession with teenage girls." It's like he literally explained what the song was about. We can even let's read the lyrics. Let's read the lyrics real quick, because tell me if this is any more offensive than wet ass pussy. Tell me. Miss Teen America, Reagan Youth, lyrics. Okay, let's look it up. So anyway, you're currently in the middle of a SUPcast where I'm trapped because I have COVID-19, and I'm trapped in my abode, and we're looking at stuff. Okay, here are the lyrics to Miss Teen America. Artificial nose, artificial pose, artificial clothes, artificial woes, artificial clothes, artificial pose, artificial nose, artificial goal. You're artificial. Miss Teen America, superficial, saran wrap, plastic bag. This is pretty offensive. Artificial nose, artificial pose, artificial clothes, artificial woes, artificial woes, artificial clothes, artificial pose, artificial goal. You're artificial. Miss Teen America, superficial, saran wrap, plastic bag, saran wrap, what an ass. And Paul even explained to me the double meaning of what an ass. Not only is it the perceived person who finds this type of superficial human attractive, saying like, what an ass, like, oh wow, what an ass. Like, I like, it's just like the song Orange Bitch by Downtown Brown. If you're privy to that song, it's the same type of thing. It's someone who would desire such a person talking about what they are. This has nothing to do with fetishizing teenage girls. This is simply saying teenage girls are indoctrinated into society to be artificial. Like they're pushed. They're pushed at a very early age to be artificial nose, artificial pose, artificial clothes. This is the status quo. This is what society wants from young females. And on top of it, this song was written in the fucking 80s. I don't see what's offensive about this at all. And Paul introducing the song, simply saying, this song is about teenage girls. Because it is. Like, these motherfuckers are just looking for something to be offended by. And it's crazy. They follow around Reagan Youth and they're just like, what can we pin on this homicidal maniac Paul Cripple? So anyway, you're artificial, Miss Teen America, superficial, saran wrap, plastic bag, saran wrap, what an ass. And not only what an ass, like what an ass, look at that ass, but like what an ass, like what an asshole. You know? But, you know, that being said, it's easy, and I'm guilty of this too, because look at me, like I want to look a certain way, and that's me falling into the status quo, being like, okay, well, if you're a bigger person, then you're not as beautiful. I more or less just want to be able to fit in my punk rock jeans and perform well, and I'm sweating. So here we are, we're 16 minutes into the SUPcast, and I'm sweating. So no matter where Reagan Youth goes, controversy follows, and now I'm a part of it. Now these motherfuckers come after me. And so the tour ends and I take the COVID test. Let's go watch that video. Because I wasn't feeling that hot. I thought it was allergies, honestly. And when I got the positive result, I was quite surprised. But let's watch this video real quick. Because why not? And this was mere days ago. Mere days ago. Let's watch.
24 hours later.
Apparently, I have COVID. The results are in. Neil Patterson, that's me. Panel, COVID. Result, detected. COVID-19 is detected. So I guess what this means is 10 days of quarantine, and if I'm asymptomatic the last 2 days, I test negative, I guess I'm good to go back into society. So this is weird because I'm pretty much asymptomatic. Like, I can taste my food. I don't really have any lung issues. I don't have any breathing issues. Needless to say, if you hung out with me or went to any of these Reagan Youth shows in the past 2 weeks, go get fucking tested. My advice to everyone is get fucking vaccinated, because if I had or have COVID right now and it's this mild, I mean, it's probably because I'm vaccinated. I'll see y'all in 10 days. Okay, so if you listen to my voice in that clip, I'm definitely like more fucked up than I am right now. Uh-oh. Get out of here.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to...
Get out of here, Steve-O. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, so let's go into the whole COVID thing. Yeah, like I'm on tour, and I remember I woke up in Virginia, and I'm like, man, I got these terrible allergies. Because I'm a guy with allergies. Like when I was a little kid, I used to go once a week to get these allergy shots. And I remember I would go to, it was Orchard Lake Road and like 12 Mile. Orchard Lake and 12 Mile with my sister. And we would always get McDonald's. And I remember we'd go there together because we both had severe allergies. I was allergic to dogs, cats, ragweed, pollen, etc. And it was so bad that every single week I had to get a fucking shot. And my sister would get these shots too. So she would drive us, because this was when she was able to drive and I was too young. And we would go get these allergy shots. So I've had allergies my whole life. I know what allergies feel like. So I wake up in Virginia, and this is on our off day of the tour. And it's Tuesday, which is like going on. I don't even know. Like my brain's a little melted because I've been in quarantine for however many days now. But so it's Tuesday, and I'm like, oh my God, my fucking sinuses are on fire. It's because I fell asleep in Charlie's house. In Charlie's house, there's like 30 cats. So there's a lot of cat dander. It was pretty dusty too. So I told myself, okay, well, I got really bad allergies because I fell asleep in Charlie's house and like slept for 12 hours because I hadn't been sleeping at all. So I go to the gym, and I'm like breathing in all this steam, and I went to CVS, and I got this shit to shoot up my nose, this like saline drip, and my nasal passages are on fire. I get an oil change, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, okay, I got allergies. And then the allergies persisted. And I had a lot of snot. I was blowing my nose a lot. And so we did the show in Columbus. and it was a packed house. There's like 200 people there with no masks. And then we did the show in Cleveland. It was a very heavily mandated vaccine show. And I just was like, okay, well, I have these shitty allergies. I'm blowing my nose a lot. But I didn't have any of the COVID symptoms. I didn't get the chills. I didn't get the fever. I didn't get the severe exhaustion. And so, like, we finished out the rest of the tour. We did Chicago, and that was another heavily mandated vaccine show where you had to show your vaccine card to your 72-hour passport. So the tour ended. I drop everyone off at the airport, and I come back here, and I slept. And the next day, I'm like, okay, I want to see my mom. And I'm not going to go over there without a fucking COVID test because I just was around fucking hundreds of people. I just drove up and down the East Coast. I'm around hundreds of people. So, like, I'm thinking to myself, I got this snot. I got these allergies. It's annoying, but I probably don't have COVID. And I went to fucking the urgent care, and I waited in line, and they swabbed me. And then, the next day, it was like, you got fucking COVID. And I was like, holy shit. And because all I could think about right in that very moment is like, dude, I've been around so many fucking people. So immediately, and like, if any of y'all have ever tested positive for an STI, like, you do the same thing. Like, literally, if you like test positive for like, herpes 2, or you test positive for any fucking STI, you literally have to just like hit up everyone that you fucked in the last however long. You have to hit up your partners and be like, oh, I got this. It's the right thing to do. So I had to hit up literally everyone that I had come in contact with. It was like promoters, other bands, band members, people, and just be like, yo, I tested positive for COVID. We put something up on the Reagan Youth Facebook. I tested positive for COVID. And we just tried to get the word out like as quickly as possible, as swiftly as possible, that, hey, like, go get tested. And for all intents and purposes, like, only a couple people have tested positive. So, and one of them being Breezy from the opening band, and her partner from their partner from the opening band Body Farm, when we were in Cleveland, where it was like a heavily mandated vaccine show. And so, like, all in all, I just feel fucking terrible because here I was like on tour just thinking I had some fucking allergies and I had fucking COVID. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And especially after being vaccinated and after taking all of these precautions, after masking up in the grocery stores and masking up at gas stations and like using hand sanitizer for in my mind, I was being really fucking careful. But also in my mind, like, in Norfolk, Virginia, or Columbus, Ohio, or even Detroit, like, we're literally in front of people that are fucking spitting on me, screaming the lyrics into the microphone. This dude I know, I gave him a kiss on the mouth. I gave Wefton a kiss on the mouth. I gave Digger a kiss on the mouth. And, these are all things that happened, I wasn't really thinking clearly. I was just like, these things just happen in the moment. I'm like, all right, I'm vaccinated, and this is a passport show, and these people are showing no symptoms, and I'm showing no symptoms, and it's just like, oh. And then you do these things, and then you realize after the fact, it's like, holy shit, like, I was being a complete fucking idiot. But not only that, like, you live, when you're vaccinated, you live with this perceived notion that this is going to protect me. This vaccine is going to protect me. Like, you think about breakthrough cases. But then you hear more and more about all these breakthrough cases. Like, these breakthrough cases are becoming more and more. Like, no matter what vaccine you got, whether it's Moderna or the other one, or Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, like, you just hear about, oh, the vaccine doesn't actually prevent this shit. And it makes you think, because we were told when they lifted the mask mandate that if you're vaccinated, you can, like, not wear a mask. But that's the thing, is like, if you're vaccinated, you still can fucking get it. Like, I'm vaccinated and I got it. So it's fucked. It's fucked. I mean, it's simply, like, as far as my understanding is concerned, and I'm not a scientist or anything, I'm just some fucking guy that, like, drives around the country and gets spit on. And as far as I understand, like, all the vaccine did for me was lessen the symptoms, because let me go over real quick what happened to me. Okay? Tested positive. Could still taste. Could still smell. Okay? But the fatigue was there. Fever? No. It's been 98.7 degrees. 98.7 degrees across the board. Normal temperature this entire time. But, dude, I've never slept so much in my fucking life. I've just been sleeping, and I didn't really have like a terrible cough or problems breathing. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is mild. This is like, I have COVID, but this is mild. And in my brain, the only thing that makes sense, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a virologist, and I don't know what I really believe, but in my brain, it makes sense that I have a mild case of COVID-19 because I was vaccinated. The reason this is so mild is because I was vaccinated. So a couple days go by, and I'm sleeping, and I'm playing Final Fantasy VI, and I'm sleeping, and I'm playing Final Fantasy VI, and then all of a sudden I notice I like put my deodorant on. I can't smell it. This was like a day ago, or maybe a day and a half ago. Can't smell my deodorant. And I put food in my mouth. It is very odd because I can't taste this pumpkin spice coffee right now. I can't taste it, but I can taste the sweetness of the stevia. If that makes any sense, it's wild. I can't taste the actual flavor, but I can taste the reaction my tongue is having. Like there's a sweetness to it. Like if I have some hot food, if I have some spicy food, I can taste the spice, but I can't taste what the spice tastes like. If that makes any sense, it's very odd. It's very odd. So right now, still congested. My breathing is labored. I did lift a 5-gallon jug of water yesterday, and I lifted multiple 5-gallon jugs of water, and I was out of breath just from doing that. Now that's something I normally can do. I normally just lift shit all the time, and my breathing isn't labored. So my breathing is labored. Yes, I can't smell or taste shit. No, still very congested, and now I have like kind of a dry cough. It went from a dry cough to now it's kind of a liquid, phlegmy cough. So that's where I'm at. But so today's Sunday, and on Wednesday I'm gonna get retested, and on Thursday, if I get a negative result, I'm going back to fucking work. Like I have gigs with Downtown Brown on the 15th and the 16th. We're playing with Psycho Stick in West Chicago, where Illinois they have a heavy mask mandate, and then we're going to Indianapolis where they don't have shit. They literally don't have shit. Speaking of that, let's watch this video of me talking about what it's like touring during COVID.
Back to Michigan, I've gained like 10 pounds.
Because this video explains like the discrepancy between states and how you can go from one state to another and have there be completely different rules as far as the COVID mandates are concerned. So it's a little off-putting. It's a little off-putting that, you know, some states could be so, strict. And then some states could just not give a fuck. So here we go. Let's watch this little video.
I want to tell you what it's like touring in a pandemic. I just got back from a 10-day run with the band Reagan Youth as a singer, tour manager / driver, and it's wild. Pretty much as you travel state to state, there are these imaginary lines that are called state lines, and every time you pass into another state, there's a new set of laws and or mandates, and this goes with drugs too, like weed and other stuff. You pass these imaginary state lines, like say Utah. If you go into Utah, it's way different than Colorado, which is one state over. It's the same.
Yeah, for example, in 2018, I was arrested up in Utah for possessing 0.5 milligrams of THC. 0.5. Less than a milligram. Think about that. Less than a milligram of THC I had to pay a $750 ticket for. Less than a milligram. 1/2 of 1 milligram of THC in the state of Utah. And then you go over to Colorado, which is one state over, and you can pretty much like smoke weed in front of a cop.
Same shit with COVID. Every state you pass, there's a different mandate. For example, yesterday we were in Illinois where there's a mandatory mask mandate. Everywhere indoors, everyone has to wear a mask. And at the venue we played, there was a mandatory vaccine / 72-hour negative COVID test mandate. So that's Illinois. You pass into Indiana, and they don't give a fuck about anything, okay? You can go to a restaurant and no one's wearing a mask. No one's wearing a mask in the grocery store. No one's wearing a mask at any of the venues. So honestly, it's kind of terrifying, and I'm going to get a COVID test today.
I love that in this video, I'm like, it's kind of terrifying, and I'm going to get a COVID test today because I'm unsure as to like my safety because I just traveled to all these different states where they had all of these different rules. And it's just funny because I posted this the morning I went and got the test. I posted this video, and I still was like, oh, I still have these allergies. I still kind of feel like shit. And I'm talking about how terrifying it was going from state to state with all of these fucking lax rules, and then all of these places that have kind of like the fact of the matter is that there's no way you can safely tour. And my friend Mike Dillon just tested positive for COVID. There's no way you can safely tour right now. There's no way you can safely tour because it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't, because the rules are different everywhere. And somewhere, somehow, even if you're vaccinated, like something's going to break through. Like Mike D is vaccinated. Mike Dillon's vaccinated. And he still got it. I'm vaccinated. Charlie's vaccinated. Charlie from Reagan Youth, the drummer, he got it. But Paul didn't get it. Tibby didn't get it. Like, it's wild. So, yeah, let's watch the rest of this.
One of those rapid ones from CVS, because I've literally been around people with masks and people who are vaccinated, and then I've been around people who are definitely not vaccinated, and there was definitely no vaccine mandate at the venue, and there was maybe 200 people spitting on me. I kissed a man on the mouth. I had people spit on my shirt. I had people singing along the lyrics in a microphone without masks. So the whole thing is pretty terrifying.
Yes, it is.
For all intents and purposes, if you add it all up, it's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
I'm vaccinated, and in 2019, I think I had the Alpha variant, not the Delta variant. The very first wave of COVID, when I was in California, I was coughing until I was hallucinating. And then also, after I got unsick, I noticed I was on the treadmill running, and I couldn't catch my breath. So I'm pretty sure in December of 2019, I got COVID Alpha.
Yeah, and I've never been that sick in my entire life. But you know what? Actually getting COVID now, it makes me wonder if in 2019, did I get COVID Alpha? Because this is arguably worse. Losing your taste and losing your sense of smell and the fatigue that went along with it. I think in 2019, I just had a terrible head cold. Like, where I was just coughing my brains out. Because I remember I still played shows when I had that. And that was before we even knew that COVID was a big thing. That was in 2019, before 2020, before the shutdown. So there's no way for me to know. I don't have a time machine. I can't go and swab myself in 2019 and be like, oh yeah, I definitely had COVID Alpha. So in this video, this is me talking like confidently, like I'm pretty sure I don't have COVID. I'm talking about these touring conditions and how scary it is out there. But like, when I was filming this video, I was pretty damn sure that when I got tested, it would come back negative. So it's weird watching this video in hindsight.
Okay. And then we did the whole pan sandwich thing, and then I got vaccinated, and now here I am. It's 2021, and I'm on tour with my band, and I'm going to do it again in a month. So I don't really know what to say about anything. We all respect these mandates.
True.
Reagan Youth put out a video saying, hey, we don't make the fucking rules. We just kind of abide by them.
True.
State per state, venue per venue. You go to a venue, and if they have some sort of fucking mandate, you honor that. In Illinois, we played in front of a venue filled with people wearing masks. And there's punks like moshing with masks on.
True.
It was wild. But then we played in Columbus, Ohio at a DIY venue, and no one gave a fuck. There was 200 sweaty people spitting on us.
This is very true.
So, I don't know what to say. I'm going to get the test. I'll let y'all know whether or not it's positive or negative. And I have to work at the catering company this weekend. So it's wild. This video is about to end. I'm touring in COVID. It's wild, and I hope I'm okay.
So there you go. Touring during COVID. It's wild. And at that point, it was the same day I got tested. I hoped I was okay. And I am okay. That's the thing. It's not that I'm not okay. But I did get fucking COVID, and here I am talking right now. So yeah, let's go to the Reagan Youth Facebook page or Instagram. Let's go to the Instagram, and let's see what some people had to say in regards to me contracting COVID, because it's interesting. It's interesting that some people will react the way they do. So let's go to 5. Okay, so here is the actual post. I said our singer just tested positive for COVID. Tibby tested negative, waiting on the results of the rest of the band, and our tour mates Fat Chance. Fat Chance didn't get it. The band we're on tour with, they did not get COVID-19. None of them did. None of them did. So it got 891 likes. Let's just go down there and see. Yeah, some people were generally pretty nice. Hope he is okay. Hope y'all are okay. Oh no, hope everyone is okay. Body Farm, 2 of their members got it. B&B Productions. These are the people that threw that giant show at Tompkins Square Park and then sold t-shirts saying, I survived the Tompkins Square Park, you know, the 3,000 person COVID super spreader event. Just one more booster and it'll all be over. LOL. Glad all is okay though. Okay. So they definitely made an anti-vax joke, but also wished me well. Let's go. Robocop's dad. Someone has COVID, a virus that kills you, yet people are arguing in the comments about masks and politics. Be safe, everyone, and feel better soon, Neil. Thanks, Robocop's dad. Let's keep going. See, people are mostly nice. People are mostly nice. Glad you guys are vaccinated. Stay safe. Get well soon. Thanks for being responsible and forthcoming to your fans. I haven't seen an artist do this yet. Hope everyone gets well soon, and those who got to catch you as well. Glad he's doing all right. Get well. Rest up. Get well. Oh, yeah, and then here we go. Here's some good ones. That doesn't sound very punk. Yeah, getting COVID, not very punk. Get well soon. Oh, yeah, you know, for the most part, everyone's nice. Everyone's nice. Everyone's nice. Okay, but then you have people like this. La Cacaraka 7. Guess the vaccines don't work after all. I mean, that's arguable because the vaccine didn't prevent me from contracting COVID-19. That is true. It didn't work to prevent me from contracting it. That is true. But did it work in lessening the symptoms? I would say yes. I would say yes. It's not meant to prevent you from getting it, someone wrote. He isn't in the hospital, so maybe they do. People like you make me wonder if the American education system works, though. Oh, and then people start arguing. Get well soon. How can you be a punk and have the vaccine? Daddy Gov makes you punk now. Laughing face, laughing, crying face. Sniffles and fatigue isn't COVID. You are being lied to. Vaccine mandates are big bootlicker energy. Masks are ineffective. And then it's just people arguing. Masks are ineffective. But the same person who said that popped back in. Regardless, I hope you recover soon. Cheers. Thanks, Anflopism. Of course he's pro-life. He's a fan of that rapist bandit Monko. I don't know what that means. Okay, now they're arguing. So this is the Reagan Youth social media is wrought with people from the 80s that like the band in the 80s, and then it's wrought with like kind of newer, more like, dare I say, woke punks or more, punks that believe in science and whatnot. And it sociologically, it's fucking fascinating being a part of this, because not only am I able to like read all these comments and just scratch my head because it's a bunch of like anti-vaxxers and a bunch of anti-maskers like arguing with people that actually kind of have a brain. It's a lot of people coming at me personally because I'm not the original lead singer of Reagan Youth. I'm just a scab. The original lead singer of Reagan Youth died in the 90s, and I'm not the dead guy they love. And so it's really intense. Let's go. There's some cute comments on this one. I want to find like the ultimate comment that just like rips into me. But I hope everyone's doing well. And, if you're listening to this, sorry I haven't been keeping up with the podcast. I just haven't had time. I've been doing real shit. I've been out on the road contracting, potentially deadly virus on accident. Punk used to be good before it went woke. Conservatism is the new counterculture, in quotes. Unfortunately, it seems to a worldwide poserdemic. Yeah. Okay, no. Let's go on the Facebook real quick. But then I'm going to get into Final Fantasy VI, which is going to close out this podcast. I just want to read this comment for everybody. Oh, one nice thing. If you look right here, Eric Melvin of NoFX did wish me to get better and wish us to get better, and Charlie. So let's look at the comments right here on Facebook where it's really, really toxic. Okay, let's go. Where is this gentleman that was so nice? And he's part of the crowd of people that was at the New Jersey show that believe that Paul is obsessed with teenage girls because he introduced a song about teenage girls, which is pretty funny. Here we go. This is the comment of the hour, the comment of the year, and it's actually tagged to me. Neil Patterson, wait. Is this the man-child of a singer who has a weird obsession with teenage girls and moves like a fucking turkey? Let's not attribute Neil's vaccination to his intelligence, because he definitely is heavily lacking in that department and in the talent department. I'm going to put some reverb on this. Come see this band if you want to have him throw a tantrum when an amp gets unplugged because they're blocking access to the bathroom for their entire set of heavily derivative and uninspired cookie-cutter punk. Or if you want to get COVID because we somehow thought a multi-state tour is a good idea during a global pandemic, let me just put it out there. We're not the only band touring. There's the fucking dozens and dozens of bands touring. So, we didn't do anything wrong. We abided by the fucking local and state mandates. We just got unlucky. We're all vaccinated. We all thought we did our part. We got unlucky. Man. I apologize, Roberto Burgos. Anyway, stay at home, y'all, and wait until they actually have a singer that can move and motivate a crowd. Because apparently I move like a turkey, and I have no talent, and I can't motivate a crowd. I can't help but feel bad for the bassist and drummer, who was essentially carrying the entire show and the burden of their two untalented bandmates. Fuck Neil Baby P. Get better soon, and then stop performing. Roberto Burgos, man. So I responded, Roberto Burgos, keep fighting the good fight, comrade. And I gave him a little Dwight Schrute salute. And Roberto Burgos goes, thanks, BB. So, it's funny because apparently they were at the New Jersey show and I didn't say anything about teenage girls, but they got me confused with Paul. And apparently, in their brain, this person who they have a point of contention with is like an amalgamation of Paul and myself. Like somehow we morphed into like one problematic entity. So... Oh, here's another good comment. Damn, your vaccine or excessive masking not working? And some people are nice. Sorry to hear. Get well soon. I've seen tons of people here in Chicago that don't really care or understand it. They're all in crowds and only half of them are vaccinated. I almost made it to that show. And then I responded, everyone in Chicago was masked, the entire crowd. And it was weird, because when we played in Chicago, everyone was wearing a mask. Like literally everyone in the audience. In fact, there was one point where I jumped off stage to try to engage the audience and they all moved away from me. Like they take this shit very seriously. I jumped off stage and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to rile up the crowd a little bit. They all backed the fuck away. And good on them. So in Chicago, they have, in Illinois, they have a mandatory mask mandate where inside every eatery, inside every entertainment venue, inside every building in the state of Illinois, you have to wear a mask. But then you go one state over to Indiana and they don't give a fuck. So, this is me just kind of riffing and ranting. And I wanted to be transparent in a way where this is how I'm living right now. I haven't put on a shirt or pants. I've been showering, but I haven't put on a shirt and pants in days. I've been sleeping excessively. I watched the Sopranos movie, and I've had a lot of time to ruminate on my life and to ruminate on the decisions I've made and to ruminate on, whether or not like after I recover from this, am I going to get out and do my thing again? And the answer is yes. I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. Like everywhere we went, whether it was a grocery store or inside of a fucking gas station, like we were being careful and we were masking up, and we're vaccinated. And that's the biggest thing that's fucking crazy about all of this is the fact that the CDC, when they first implemented the vaccines, they're like, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. And this is the thing is if you're vaccinated, you should still wear a fucking mask because you can still get this shit. So think about that before you go do anything or go anywhere. You can still fucking get this shit. We're all vaccinated. All of Reagan Youth are vaccinated. And we followed the mandates. But those mandates change. Every state you go to, it's something different. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. Wear a fucking mask. And if you feel sick, get tested. And let's go into the final act of this podcast. And I don't know what I'm going to call this podcast, but this is SUPcast number whatever. And this is me just riffing. I'm just riffing. But I had some time, okay? So I've been quarantined. I couldn't work. I couldn't go to the catering company. I couldn't do my bartending shift last night, which I was going to make like $300 cash. So I'm losing money. Hey, Neil Patterson here. When I got laid off from my job on New Year's of 2019, I decided I was going to go into business for myself doing content creation. 2020, I busted my ass making all sorts of videos. I tried to put out a whole lot of stuff. I just want to let you know that I updated my Patreon page, and now exclusive content will be available on that page before it's available anywhere else on the internet. For only $5 a month, you can be supporting your boy, me. You also will be privy to this patron-only content. You get the podcast early, and you get your name in all the YouTube videos, and I can continue to create this stuff and eat and survive. I'm not making a cent off of YouTube or TikTok. This is essentially the best way to support me. If you enjoy my stupid videos, if you enjoy my little comedy skits, if you enjoy my podcast, this is the best way. For only $5 a month. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Neil P. Neil P. Thank you in advance for getting me through 2021 and beyond. And I'm stuck, and I'm watching some good television. I'm watching some bad television. I tried to get into The Sopranos. It's a little bit too dry and dramatic and boring for me. If that's sacrilegious to you, me making that statement, I apologize. But the one thing I did do is I finally defeated Kefka in the game Final Fantasy VI, aka Final Fantasy III for Super NES. And this is something that I've been working at, I've been chipping away at for hours and for months because I'm a busy guy. Like I don't have time to just sit and play a Final Fantasy game and just play a Final Fantasy game and just play a Final Fantasy game. And this game is revered and applauded as being one of the greatest video games in the history of anything, at least one of the greatest JRPGs in the history of anything. I mean, a lot of people are saying Chrono Trigger is number one, but Final Fantasy VI is like right up there. And you want to talk about a storyline that actually like tugs on your heartstrings and makes you care about these characters. I mean, and what's crazy is this came out in the early 90s, like 16-bit. And the complexity of the story and the characters, it all like really like I've never found myself close to tears like playing a Super Nintendo game. Like I can't think of a video game I was close to tears at ever. Like I cry at movies. I cry with the first 6 minutes of Up when Homeboy's wife dies and then he's all alone in that house. Like that whole shit, that whole sequence in Up, the movie Up, is heartbreaking. I cried during WALL-E. I cried, I'm trying to think if I cried recently. I cry. I'm a sensitive person. But like to tear up at a video game? Never happened to me before. Not before Final Fantasy VI. So, I remember reading this article on GameSpot. And I remember like it pretty much describes Final Fantasy's broken world in comparison to COVID in the global pandemic. And I want to just read this article aloud because if you're a fan of the game, that's one thing. But just I think if you have an emulator or you have a way to play Super Nintendo games and you have some time on your hands or some time to invest, playing Final Fantasy VI will kind of give you hope. Because we're talking about the first half of the game, you know, you're fighting against this evil and you lose. Like, by the start of the second half of the game, like, you have lost. All of your friends, all of your comrades are perceived to be dead. And you're in what's called a world of ruin. And you're all alone on a desert island. And the person you're taking care of dies as well. You know? So it excuse me. Nasty. So it starts off like on a very dark note, the second half of this game. But what ends up happening is like kind of what we're doing with this COVID thing is like shit got really scary for a second there. And now we're picking up the broken pieces and we're trying to find a way to move on. So I'm going to read this article word for word, because why not? Because would you rather have me read it for you or would you rather read it yourself? I'm going to read it for you because if you're engaged in this podcast in the slightest, my soothing, wonderful COVID voice is going to guide you. So let's go. This is an article. Feature article, Final Fantasy VI's broken world resonates differently in ours today. The world of ruin in Final Fantasy VI is oppressively bleak, but the glimmers of hope in this classic RPG feel more needed now than they ever have. So I begin. At the almost exact midpoint of Final Fantasy VI, the classic 1994 RPG from Squaresoft, the power-hungry Gastal Empire has raised the floating continent, where it intends to use a powerful magical field to consolidate its power and rule the world. At this point, what has been a familiar evil empire versus scrappy rebellion story takes a turn, as one of the Empire's lieutenants, Kefka, overthrows his emperor and intentionally throws the magical field out of balance, ushering in worldwide darkness and destruction. There is no master plan at play here. Kefka is pure nihilistic glee, destruction for the sake of destruction. When he emerges as the game's primary antagonist, it's no longer an evil empire, but sheer wanton devastation you're fighting against. At this point in the game, death and destruction wins. Today, we know how that feels. Death won, here in our world too, at least for a while. A New York Times data project from June 2020 called How the Virus Won showed in excruciating detail the way COVID-19 pandemic manifested and spread throughout the population, largely unchecked in the United States, catching political and scientific leaders flat-footed until it was too late. As of the time of publishing last June, approximately 480,000 people had died worldwide. Currently, that figure is well over 3 million. I don't know where the figure is at now because this article was published in May of 2021. I'm going to continue. This has been one of the bleakest periods in modern history. Millions of people have lost their lives, and many millions more have lost loved ones or friends or co-workers. An economic collapse has cost people their livelihoods. The mitigation measures that have suppressed the virus have had their own unintended side effects. The loneliness, depression, and exhaustion. Remote work for those who can perform their jobs has been an overwhelming challenge for single people and families alike, who are increasingly find the lines between work and home life blurred. The world is starting to heal now. Vaccines are starting to become more widespread and accessible among larger populations in many countries. There's a sense of collective relief as people celebrate their immunizations and make plans to socialize and visit family. And then they socialize and visit family and they get it anyway. But also there's a sense of trepidation that the world they're about to re-enter is going to look different, feel different than the one we left in March 2020. For those prone to anxiety, and who isn't, after all we've been through, it can feel intimidating. And it is. It is intimidating, and it was intimidating. This is just me throwing my 2 cents in as I'm reading. I believe in the power of art to help us understand the human condition and how to engage with the world. I care about video games because aside from providing a satisfying distraction like any other hobby, they have the power to make us active participants in storytelling and foster a connection with the subject matter and characters in a way few other mediums can. And so as hokey as it may seem, I find it comforting to look back on Final Fantasy VI and how it portrayed the second half, the world of ruin, and how its characters learned to re-engage with a broken world. I mean, this is heavy shit. This, like, I felt this article in a profound way. Let me continue. When the World of Ruin segment begins, the game subtly shifts our perspectives. The first act in the World of Balance opens with Terra, the half-magic being enslaved by the Empire. This cues the audience into associating with Terra, the game's main protagonist, even among its ensemble cast. She is central to the events of the world, tied both to the magical Espers and the evil Gestalian Empire. Following her story is the path through which we understand the world and its events. The game features more than a dozen playable characters for the first half. Terra is the one person whose eyes were really meant to see everything through. Everything is framed around her, and it is. When the second act begins, it no longer stars Terra. Their perspective shifts to Celeste, an important character, but no more so than any of the other members of the ensemble, like Locke or Sabin. This partially closes the books on the centrality of Terra's story. She represented the conflict between a magical race chased underground and those hell-bent on exploiting their power. We essentially already know everything we need to know about Espers, and the Empire no longer even exists. Kefka used his position in the organization to decimate the world. Celeste then represents a new lens through which we see the world. She's a former Imperial officer herself who became disillusioned with the Empire's method long before Kefka's nihilistic heel turn. She wasn't an oppressed figure breaking free from her constraints. She was an oppressor looking for redemption. She worked right alongside Kefka, in fact. She wakes up in the World of Ruin nearly alone in a desolate landscape. Her one companion is Sid, another former Imperior and creator of the powerful Magitek armor that helped the organization put its boot to the neck of several kingdoms. He explains that it had been a year since the cataclysm and that others on their small island had either passed away or thrown themselves from the cliffs in despair. I mean, that's dark. Celeste and Sid are the only ones left. These two, who both must be carrying around guilt for helping build an empire that brought Kefka to power, rely on each other. Sid provides companionship and support, and Celeste is tasked with catching fish to nurse him back to health. The game briefly becomes routine and monotonous as the pair focus on survival, and then they form a de facto family unit to the exclusion of contact with any other humans. Celeste even takes on calling Sid grandfather. If you catch bad fish, Sid can pass away as well, leaving Celeste completely alone. In this version of events, she attempts self-harming by throwing herself off the cliff, just like the other despondent survivors Sid told her about. But when he lives or dies, in person or via posthumous leather, Sid gives her a raft, the key to emerging from her accidental exile and reconnecting with the world. Yeah. This is, there's a little bit left. So let me read the rest of that. From there, the game becomes much more open than it had been in the World of Balance. You travel to the world seeking out your companions, but many of them are optional. Terra is especially resistant to rejoin the cause, having found a new purpose, taking care of orphan children. But this is also the game at its most hopeful as you progressively rediscover all of your party members in this new context. Each of them has found a new reason for living, or something to strive for in this broken world. And each can join, however reluctantly, to protect their new lives they built for themselves. This context makes the final confrontation against Kefka that much more significant. The villain, having ascended to a godlike status from magical energy, is downright jubilant in having taken so many and destroyed so much. This is where Final Fantasy VI reaches its emotional climax, in the moment that may seem maudlin, but in context feels entirely earned. The party member. People will keep rebuilding the things you take from them. Kefka, I'll destroy those too. Why do people rebuild things that they know are going to be destroyed? Why do people cling to life when they know they can't live forever? Think of how meaningless each of your lives is. Party member, it's not the net result of one's life that is important. It's the day-to-day concerns, the personal victories, and the celebration of life and love. Party member, it's enough if people are able to experience the joy that each day can bring. Kefka, and have you found your joy in this nearly dead world of ours? Kefka isn't really asking, he's taunting them, along with the very idea that they could possibly find purpose in the corrupted world he's made. But one by one, each party member you've recruited answers. They've each found their own joy in this broken world. And they resolutely tell Kefka that they won't allow him to harm another living thing. A final battle ensues. The villain is ultimately defeated and the heroes are triumphant. But the world remains destroyed. There is no magical wish for everything to be as it was. The world of ruin isn't converted back to its former lushness. The landscape is still brown and desolate. Vegetation is sparse. Lands are still swallowed by water. And those who died are still gone. And that's as it should be. Final Fantasy VI isn't a game about a band of heroes who solve the world's problems and set everything right. It's about emerging from a lonely isolation with a renewed sense of purpose, engaging with society on its own terms, and accepting that some crises are too big to reverse. It's about finding joy and hope and meaning in a broken world. It's about the resilience of humanity to keep rebuilding what is taken from them. As we start to emerge from our own islands, this quarter-century-old video game can help us, inspire us to do the same. And yeah, that's the end of that article. And that being said, I'm going to finish this podcast, but yeah, I defeated Kefka in the video game, and I think that article is a really good point about the world is still, for all intents and purposes, it's broken. But when I emerge from this COVID shit, I'm going to continue to do what I feel I'm capable of doing in my heart to make the world a better place. And that's, I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to continue to make music and perform. Just like I know my friend Mike Dillon is, because he's like, yeah, I have to cancel a few shows, but I'm going to get back at it. And yeah, for those of you who had nice things to say about me getting sick, I appreciate it. And I feel like because I got vaccinated, it's been mild, and I'm going to beat this, and I'm going to get back out there, and I'm going to have more antibodies, and I'm going to get the booster, and I'm just going to keep at it, because the world may be broken, the world may be desolate, it might be gray, it might be dead in comparison to maybe what it was before all this shit, but we have to continue finding meaning in the things that we find meaning in, and we have to continue continuing, because otherwise, what's the point? In a world so desolate and so hopeless, there are things that we can find joy in, and there are things that can give us the inspiration to keep going. So I don't know if all this makes sense. I've just been kind of riffing and ranting and reading. But this is my podcast, SUPcast, and my name is Neil Patterson. And yeah, feel free to come at me in the comments and tell me how fucking stupid I am, and tell me the vaccines don't work, and tell me all this shit, and I will read what you have to say, and I will file it under noise, because that's what I'm doing from now on. Ever since joining Reagan Youth, so many people have talked so much shit about me, and I've read so many vile things about me, about the band, and I just have to file it under noise. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Joe Petrich for giving me that advice. It's just noise. You know, what people think about you, the conclusions they want to come to about you or your character. I mean, you look at yourself in the mirror every day and you know who you are. And I think a lot. And I definitely am pretty aware of the things I've said and done over the years. And you know, I feel like I've grown a fuck ton. And regrets, I have a few, but for the most part, I'm pretty goddamn proud of myself. And yeah, say what you want to say. It's just noise. I'm going to file it under noise. And you know what I'm going to do with that noise? I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to make some TikToks about me dancing like a turkey. Here, let's leave this podcast on this real quick. That guy said something about me having moves like a turkey. So let's leave this podcast with this. I got the moves like poultry.
My COVID symptoms.
Here we go. I mean, do I really move like a turkey? Do I really move like a turkey? I don't know. Allie, everyone just tells me, you just ignore these people. All these people talking shit. Just ignore them. But honestly, it makes for some good content. So I'm going to ignore some of it, and then I'm going to make some funny videos as well. Let's see if we can get that point of focus. Yeah, look at that pen. But anyway, this is SUPcast. I love y'all. I'm going to be okay. And yeah, everyone get tested and everyone get vaccinated, because I think everyone's going to get this shit. I thought I was careful for the longest time. Still got it. Vaccinated, still got it. So just my advice to you is get fucking vaccinated so it's mild. Like, this was mild. Get fucking vaccinated is my advice to you. Love y'all. I'm out. Take care of yourself. And if I get that negative test, I'll see you this weekend with Psycho Stick. Peace. Hey, do you like this video? Do you want to see more stuff like it? Well, consider being a patron of my Patreon page, patreon.com/Neil P. If you pledge monthly, you get some perks, you get some exclusive content, and you get to help stuff like this get made on the monthly. Yo, check it out.